What's going on, growers? It's James Prigioni coming to you live from Jersey. I am amped to bring this one to you today. I've got some fruit trees on the property that I have never shown you before, and they've got fruit on them. I've been patiently waiting for them to ripen, and the time has come. So let's get into my secret rare fruit tree, the Jujube. Let's go. I'm in the 7-year-old fruit forest right now, and this actually isn't where the Jujube is planted. That's probably why you haven't seen it. I've got it planted in the front. It's also sometimes called a Chinese date, and it's got a lot of history in China. It dates back like 4,000 years. So in the US, it's kind of more of a modern thing, only back to about 1908 I read. So there's a lot more facts I'm gonna get into the Jujube, let you guys know if you can grow it in your location, so let's progress along. There are a number of things that I just love about the Jujube. One thing is how well it can adapt in a huge range of temperatures. For instance, this tree can withstand winter temperatures down to about 28 degrees Fahrenheit, which is awesome, especially in my location or if you're in a real cold area. Another thing is it thrives in heat. It actually loves the heat. So it grows in places like Florida. And one thing that's kind of ironic about the Jujube is, unlike some plants that need a certain amount of chill hours in order to fruit, the Jujube actually thrives and needs a certain amount of heat. It needs really hot summers in order to produce a good fruit. If you don't have a real hot summer, you still can get some fruit, but if it's real hot, you'll get even more. So right here are my 2 Jujube trees. This is the one with fruit on it. This variety is the Lee, one of the most popular varieties. As you look at the tree, you'll notice it's kind of drooping. It has almost that weeping willow kind of effect. It's thorny, so you don't want to touch it too much. It's a real strong hardwood, and this is a deciduous tree. As the leaves start to fall off, usually they'll get yellow and drop, but you'll notice right here, I have 2 varieties, because when it comes to Jujube, you know, you could get fruit off one variety, but if you have 2, it'll really help your pollination. You can see this tree though, the frost is already starting to take some of the effect on it. So this variety, which didn't have any fruit on it this year, I think will do great for us next year, but as you can see, the Lee performing real nicely. So let me take you inside, show you a little more of the tree, show you some of the fruit, we'll get to taste it. As I'm sitting here in front of the Jujube, you may have noticed I've got a wood pile in front of me here. So what happened there was I planted this tree with something I like to call a perennial mindset, something I encourage you guys to do also. I planted these trees about 2 or 3 years ago. And when I had planted them, there was actually a huge cherry tree that was growing over top of this. And that's where a lot of this wood came from. So what I did was plant these trees here, knowing that I was gonna take down the cherry in the future. So now that the cherry came down just last spring, we were able to have these shoots shoot through and fruit because they were already in the ground for a little while. So I encourage you to look at things with a perennial mindset. Try to look 2 or 3 years into the future and plan ahead for that. As I bring you closer, you'll notice these leaves, very bright green, vibrant, about 1 to 2 inches big. And again, watch out for those thorns, they'll get you a little bit. And this tree actually has flowers that are really small. They're only about a 1/5 of an inch in diameter. So they're white to greenish yellow, and they're kind of fragrant. And this tree actually flowers for a really long time, several months. But the thing about it is that there's only about 1 or 2 days when these flowers are actually open to be pollinated. There's not a lot of research that I found regarding the pollination of this tree. It's just, if you have a few of them, it's definitely going to help your pollination, so I suggest planting multiple varieties. The kind of fruit of a Jujube is called a drupe. And depending upon what variety you have, that's really going to depend the size, because there's a lot of variation. The Lee is one of the ones that's said to be large, and one of the most popular ones, and a good foundational one. That's why I have it in the ground here. When they're not ripe, they're like a dark green. And then as they start to ripen, they get more of a yellow color, as you can see on some of these. And then through their intermediate ripe stage, when I like to eat them personally, is when they start to get this browning, this mahogany on them. They're said to be fully ripe when they're completely red, and you can eat them then, and you can also have them sit on the tree for a long period of time. They'll get shriveled. That's where you kind of get that date aspect of it. So I don't have any in that date stage right now, but this is when I do like to eat them personally. They taste a lot like an apple. Let me crack one open, show you guys the inside, and get a little taste. So this Jujube right here is at what we call the interval stage. So it's got some of that mahogany. I got a little mark there, but that's no issue. It's got some mahogany, still yellowing. And again, you can wait for this to get fully dark red and ripe, but this is my favorite time to eat it. This is my first year getting Jujubes from this tree. It only took a couple, but I did actually try the fruit before from this tree earlier, because this is one of those trees where the fruit isn't all ripe at the same time. They all ripen kind of different times, so that makes it fun. You gotta come out here, look on the ground, or find out which ones are ready. Let me bite into this one. Flesh, so similar to an apple. Very sweet, very good. The skin is soft, can't really even taste it. Excellent flavor. One thing about the Jujube too is it's relatively drought tolerant. So it does good in dry conditions, but if you don't have enough water when they're starting to fruit, they could get a little dry. This one isn't. Juicy, delicious. I'll bring it in closer for another bite. When I did the research on this tree and first planted it, I was a little weary, wondering if it was actually going to taste good. But after eating them, I really do love them. Super, super sweet. And I found the issue sometimes, if you get rare fruits, sometimes, you know, they're rare for a reason because they don't taste great. This is one of those that tastes excellent, and I'd highly suggest anyone who's into permaculture, you gotta plant some of these. For how easy it is to grow, how delicious it is, it's drought intolerant, has little to no disease issues or pests, especially in the US. So you guys, get them in. There's a few other things I wanted to mention about the jujube before I let you go. One of them is location. It really likes to grow in a sunny location, that's important. Too much sun isn't really an issue for this kind of tree, and like I mentioned, it loves the heat. But it can also grow in location like I'm at, in New Jersey, where we have the real cold winters. Another thing about this tree is the kind of soil. It's not too particular. A sandy soil, it does well in, but it can take most kinds of soil. This is a hardy tree. This is the kind of tree that you don't really have to do a lot of work for. Another reason I love it, besides the point that you don't have to do any sprays on it, is the lack of fertilization. You really don't need to fertilize a kind of tree like this as long as your soil is relatively adequate. This tree right here, I planted it a couple years ago. I put the wood chips down, I walked away. I came back a couple years later, now I'm eating fruit from it. And we've got this other one right here, this cocoa, a different variety. This one didn't produce fruit for us this year, but I think it's gonna do good things next year. I've got high hope for it. To be able to have a few different varieties of the same kind of fruit, that's what you want. Variety is the spice of life. One thing to note about the jujube is it's said to shoot up suckers. So you might have to come through and pull those or even mow them or do what you have to do. And you should plant your jujube about 10 or 15 feet apart, depending upon the variety. But some locations like Florida, these trees can get bigger, up to like 40 feet tall. Where I live, I think it's gonna stay a little smaller. I may have planted mine a little close, but I'll have to prune a little if I have to. So let me grab a few more of the jujubes and really just get to taste them and eat them, and that's looking beautiful in my opinion. Again, we can let them get fully red and then they'll get soft, but this is, so far, having them tried a couple times, I love them like this. I will leave a few to get soft and I'll bring you along as I taste them, but I couldn't wait, I had to show you this tree. This one's even juicier than the last one. You love to see it. That's today's video, growers. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I encourage you to go out there and get some rare fruit trees, some different varieties, things you've never heard of. Add some diversity, because we talk about how diversity can help aid in your stability for your whole entire system, and plus, eating different kinds of things, that's always fun. A lot of this information for this video I got from the California Rare Fruit Growers website. I'll leave the link right here. And if you did enjoy the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share with your friends, and don't forget to check us out and Steam It. Show some love in the comments, not only for the fruit, but for my boy Tuck. He's out here having a lot of fun, enjoying everything. So we'll be back at you guys real soon with another update, pumping out the good content, bringing you as much value as we can. Thanks for watching, guys. James Prigioni and Tuck, we're back at you real soon. We out.